Here's a video on my lemon bonsai tree. This is a look at it from last summer. I had two of them, but one of them died recently, so this is my last one. I'll show you a few clips from earlier and show you how we got here. So back in May of 24, it really was not impressive looking at all. At one point I had, I think 4 or 5 of these, and I grew all of them from seed, from the same lemon. Just a lemon from the store that I used for something. Here it is. I took it outside. And I decided to put it in a bonsai pot. Its leaves are looking a little rough. Branches are pretty scraggly. And it was late in the year to actually be doing this, but at the time, there it is, by the way. But at the time, I felt like it was worth taking a risk because I had like 4 or 5 of these. But over time, I've, given one away. One of them died. Can't really remember about the other ones. Here it is the following month. And you can see just the sprouts of new leaves coming out there. But I was a little worried about this because it was slow to wake back up. And I thought, okay, I took a risk and the risk backfired. But I didn't give up hope. Here it is at the end of July, and you can see it's got some leaves now. So I'm pretty sure it's going to make it at this point. I've got it down under the bench, so it's kind of in the shade. So I think I had it in too much direct sun. Here it is in August of 24. You can see it's leafed out. It's still growing really slow, though. I think the late season repot had a pretty big impact. Got this one bottom branch right down there that wants to grow straight up. Here it is in late September of 24. I just took a little piece of wire and just stuck it in the soil and kind of hooked it and pulled that branch down a little bit. Something that I've come to learn with this, and you'll see some examples as I go through the progression clips here. The leaves, at least on this one, tend to, as they get older, they kind of just get like crispy, I guess the word, crunchy, crusty, I don't know. But I defoliate it probably once a year or so. And every time I do, it responds really well with a lot of new growth. So those old leaves, as they get crunchy like that, it kind of just prevents new growth. Like a lot of bonsai trees, really. You get rid of the old leaves and then magically new leaves show up. Here it is in November of last year, November of 2024. I've got it in the grow tent at this point. And now it's got another branch down there. And I've always been on the fence because it's not exactly coming out of the same spot, but pretty close. And this is the struggle with this tree that I've kind of always had, is that there's 2 branches coming out of a relatively close spot down below. And then there's like 5 or 6 inches of no branches. And then it branches out again. So what that tells me is that these will backbud, but not always, and not in the spots you want. And keep in mind, this is the only one that I really have left, and the other ones I hadn't really done much with. So I'm still kind of learning all the habits of lemon trees. And when you only have one of a certain tree, it's hard to know for sure if some of these habits are specific to just the tree that you have. Who knows? or if it's a species thing. I think some are, you get some of both, really. I wouldn't say that this is a fast grower. It just has little growth spurts. It'll kind of not do anything for a long time, and then all of a sudden, a whole bunch of growth. Fast forward about 4 months, here it is in February. And those 2 branches down below that I used guy wires to pull down, now they've grown super long and lanky, so I don't love that at all. And it keeps wanting to grow a branch right at that same spot where those other 2 are. So I get rid of that to avoid any reverse taper. But there's something about those 2 branches coming out like that. To me, it just looks like a Joker smile or something, or like a big smiley face. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. You see it now? So we can't have that. I don't like it at all. So I take a little bit of a risk because I don't exactly know if it's going to back bud down there. And if it doesn't, then I got this super long trunk with no branches. So a little risky, but it's okay. At this point, I'm basically just trying things with it. I believe I started this from seed in 2018-ish, give or take a year. I couldn't trace it back specifically. I looked, I found some pictures of lemon seeds that were sprouting around 2018, but I think that's where it started. It was around there. I did a little reading on lemon trees and lemon bonsai trees. I'll share some of what I found out. Here it is, by the way, April, so a couple months later, and it looks like it had grown out again. The branches just want to go straight up. But I learned that these are self-pollinating, so they can grow flowers and fruit all by themselves. They don't have to be pollinated. So take note of that right there. See, it just wants to grow branches from that location. Now, in hindsight, I kind of wish I would have just done a trunk chop right there above those branches. In fact, I really wish I would have. But yeah, they're self-pollinating. You can graft other fruit on here. I've heard it called the fruit salad tree. You can graft limes and lemons onto one rootstock. So, I'm going to do some guy wires again because I didn't learn my lesson the first time. This was months later, so I don't know if I just forgot or what. It always seems obvious when I put these clips together and I see the progression. But at the time, you kind of forget sometimes. Like, oh, did I do this? How did it go? So there I go doing it again. And I'll get rid of some of these old crunchy leaves. I'm always a little indecisive about this tree. It's like I'm indecisive about what way to go. Because I mean, look at it. It's not like a clear path forward, really, other than just trunk chop it and start again. But working with what you have, there's not like a super clear path forward. So I'm a little indecisive about which way to go. And then all of a sudden I just get sick of it and I just start making big cuts. Here it is in May of this year, May of 2025. It's got some new growth. Luckily, I remembered to take the guy wires off before it turns into handlebar smiley face again. And here it is in July. Seems to have put on some good growth at this point. Starting to fill in a little too. Instead of just growing out, it's kind of backfilling a little, I guess. A little bit. Not a ton. But at least it's looking healthy. Get rid of some of the older crusty leaves there. Just to try and encourage new growth. I will say that it was this year I started to kind of get the hang of it a little. Guy wires are not the way to go with lemon trees. But I'm told that they do take wiring pretty well. So I'm going to try that here in a minute. But as you can see, there's more back budding in that same spot. It just keeps doing that over and over. They keep getting rid of it over and over. And as I'm watching all these progression clips, this, by the way, is helpful for me to do this for myself too. Just to put all the clips together and kind of watch the progression myself. Helps me connect some dots and find some patterns. But as I'm watching these, I'm thinking I need to do one of two things. I either do need to just trunk chop it right above that second branch on the right down there, or kind of just let it grow wild, really full and healthy and wild. Maybe get rid of any reverse taper type situations, but otherwise let it go. I need to do one of those two things. The staying in the middle thing where I'm kind of trimming it here and trimming it there and hoping for the best doesn't seem to be working. But at this point, I decided to put some wire on it. Give it a little bit more controlled movement, I guess you could say. Guy wires are kind of like a way of giving it some gentle movement, just a little gentle guidance in a direction and pulling it down. That doesn't seem to be working either. So doing a full-on wiring here, kind of like that. At some point, someday, a big trunk chop is going to happen. It's too tall for how skinny it is. I've never tried to propagate these from cuttings. I don't know if it can be done. I would imagine it can. If you can graft them, you can probably propagate them. That's just a guess, though. I've never tried. Here it is in September. And at this point in the year, there's usually not much to do, bonsai-wise. So I tend to take a lot of little clips, and I just walk around and pick one up that I haven't looked at in a while and take a little clip. This seems to put on a lot of its growth in the second half of summer. Here, just 2 weeks later, because again, not much to do this time of year. I'm just taking clips. But look at all that growth just in 2 weeks. And that's in September. So that's kind of why I'm thinking these seem to put on their growth the second half of summer. At least this one has been. Could be coincidence because of repotting it last year. It didn't want to grow. I don't know. Here it is one more week later. But look at that. I mean, it's even fuller now. So I'm going to try and remember that next year and see if that happens again in September. If that's just the month for it to grow. But as you can tell down at the bottom there, it's once again got a branch coming out of the wrong spot, kind of awkward little place. So we'll get rid of that. Get rid of some of the old leaves. One other fun fact about these lemon trees, when you prune the leaves and you smell them, it really does smell like lemons. It's one of the more pleasant trees to prune. There's some trees out there that smell. They just smell when you trim them up. But not this one. This one smells good. End of September is kind of a good excuse to do heavier prunes because you got to bring them inside. You need space. That's what I'm doing. I don't for sure yet know the long-term vision. Who knows? Maybe I'll play the long game and keep that shape. I mean, the trunk does have decent movement now. Sorta. The bottom part is what I'm still not super sold on. But I think the more likely scenario is that someday, I don't know if it'll be soon, I don't know if it'll be years down the road, a trunk job is coming, I think. Looks like I have definitely finally learned my lesson not to use guide wires on this tree. You just get that weird bow upward arch that never looks right. I am told that you want to keep an eye on the wire with lemon trees because it does scar the bark quickly and easily. Knock on wood, hasn't happened to me yet, but I'm going to keep my eye on it. This was just a month and a half ago, after all. In a perfect world, if I could wave my magic wand and make it grow the way I hope, I would love to see it back bud, a couple of branches in between branch number 2 and the next one up, branch number 3. That's what I would love to see. And while we're at it and making wishes with our magic wands, I'd love to see it sprout some other branches off of the first 2 branches. Not just leaves, but actual branches. So I'll do some wishing on that and we'll see how it goes. But on this day in September, that's where I leave it. And now here it is as of about 5 minutes ago. So that's today, November 7th, maybe more than 5 minutes. I've been recording this for about 15 or 20 minutes. Anyways, here it is as of a few minutes ago. It looks pretty full again. And I think at this point, what I've decided to do is let it grow wild. At least for the winter. Because I looked at the clips between November and April of last year, and it didn't put on much growth at all. So I kind of don't want to do a hard trim or trunk chop now. There's another awkward branch at the wrong spot. I think I would rather just let it grow wild. I'm going to keep a close eye on that wire so it doesn't scar. And just let it grow. Anyways, that's my lemon tree. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know any experience you have. Have a good rest of your day.